Every year, nearly 1.77 lakh people die on Indian roads. Many of these deaths are not because injuries are unsurvivable, but because victims fail to receive timely medical care at that particular point. They say the first 60 minutes after an accident is known as the golden hour, and this hour can decide whether a victim survives or dies. Recognizing this particular and important point, the Supreme Court on the 26th of May directed all states and union territories to build a unified trauma care architecture to reduce the road accident fatalities. But months later, one disturbing fact that has emerged is that not a single state has fully implemented the system the court had asked for. The Supreme Court asked the states to implement a comprehensive trauma response framework. At its core are 5 critical measures: a unified 112 emergency number, GPS-enabled ambulances, protection for Good Samaritans, a statewide trauma registry, and a standard rescue protocol. Together, these 5 measures are meant to ensure that every accident victim receives immediate and coordinated emergency care during this golden hour. However, the reality is starkly different. Most of the states still operate through multiple agencies with poor coordination. Police, health departments, road agencies, district administration, and ambulance services, they often function independently, delaying this entire rescue chain and the efforts that go on with it. Across the country, only a handful of states have fully and completely integrated emergency services with 112 helpline. Only 8 states have a grievance mechanism for Good Samaritans. 17 states have a standard rescue protocol. 22 states still do not have a trauma registry, and 13 states either lack GPS-enabled ambulances or have GPS only in a limited number of government ambulances. So, first up, what exactly is this trauma care system? Well, it's an integrated emergency response network that begins the moment an accident occurs. A single emergency call should trigger the nearest GPS-tracked ambulance, police and rescue teams simultaneously. Victims should be protected by Good Samaritan laws, so bystanders can actually go on and help without any fear. And a trauma registry should digitally track the patient's journey from the crash site to the hospital treatment, while a standard rescue protocol ensures every agency responds in a coordinated and in a time-bound manner. This is the system the Supreme Court wants every state to build. The urgency is reflected in India's road safety numbers. Take a look at for yourself. The country's record is about 1.77 lakh road deaths each year. Uttar Pradesh alone accounts for over 24,000 fatalities in 2024, while 8 states together account for nearly 2 out of every 3 road deaths in India. A 2021 Niti Aayog AIMS report estimated that 30% of trauma-related deaths occur because of delays in medical emergency cases and care, deaths that could potentially be prevented with a robust trauma response system. The Supreme Court has laid down the roadmap. The question now is whether states will finally act on it. So far, it's been a lackadaisical approach because every delay after an accident costs precious minutes, and for thousands of Indians every year, those lost minutes mean lost lives. Dr. Rahul Bhargav, Director, Fortis Hospital, Gurugram, with us on the broadcast, and Gautam Singh, Associate Director, Save Life Foundation, is with us on the broadcast as well. Mr. Singh, let's get the snowball rolling with you first, considering it was your organization, Save Life Foundation, that moved the apex court on this particular matter. Since the 26th of May, what did you expect would happen now that the Supreme Court directive came out, and what's actually amiss on the Indian roads here, sir?
Thank you. In fact, what you have clearly articulated that the Supreme Court recognized this major gap that lies on how we respond to our emergencies, particularly road crash fatalities that are one of the largest killer of people in our country.
Right.
In fact, the youth, the most working age youth and the most productive years of our youth are lost not because of any other public health emergency, but because of road crashes. So Supreme Court recognized that, you have to really work in an integrated manner. Having a one good running ambulance services totally disconnected from at scene protocols or not being able to take them to a good hospital completely defeats the purpose. So you can't work in isolation. You can't have individual systems shining. All you need to have is a comprehensive integrated system that responds in the same standardized manner, at the same time recognizing that state subject health being a state subject, each state has the liberty to build on this. But this is the minimum care framework that
Mr.
has now
Singh, do you
been
think
prescribed.
the state governments have been given enough time to come up with this SOP that you've suggested, the Supreme Court has suggested? How much time has actually passed on since the Supreme Court actually gave out this directive?
So since 26th of May, when the Supreme Court, recognized this as a fundamental right and stated that right to trauma care is actually right to life under Article 21, it gave down certain instructions to the states. There have been timelines specified. Supreme Court has really done this clinically. It has taken out a couple of things that would require, say, a larger system building, and has given a larger amount of time for that. But most other things, as you mentioned, 112. The government of India has been saying this for last 10 years. The MHA came up with 112 in 2015-16. No state has fully integrated it except a couple of them. What is taking us to reach that level that is completely common sense and really needs to be done? Why do we have 8 numbers to call depending on where we are within a state to reach for help, and wait for minutes at stretch before you are able to even get to a responder?
That's absolutely right.
Some things are really straightforward. Supreme Court has given, I think, 3 months for all states to comply with it, which I think is a fair enough deadline. If we are serious about this problem, we can really get our house in order in time, thanks to the central government. And also, I would acknowledge that because we were there in the court, most states and the central government really came forward and accepted, yet this is what is really required. And
so it's been a month. It's been a month, if I'm not
read.
wrong. Today we're sitting on the 26th of June. It's been a month.
Yes.
And are you hopeful that this is going to turn around into the actual expectations that you have from the Supreme Court? Because 3 months, like you rightly pointed out, seems to be like a justified timeline to come through with this SOP.
So states are moving. I wouldn't say that at the
If we were to,
ideal
my
pace.
apologies for interjecting here, Mr. Singh. If we were to give the viewers a little bit of a case study to better help, them understand what we're essentially talking about here. Let's talk about the national capital. What's happening? What's amiss? What still needs to be done here?
So we really have a very good 112 system in Delhi. That's a plus. Our ambulance and hospital networks are unfortunately not integrated in the manner that they ought to be, as the Supreme Court has really laid out the vision. So there are gaps. The states, I would, still give them a month down the credit for taking it seriously. Some states will move faster, some will be slower. But I'm very hopeful that in the 3 months' time, we'll at least have the states ready for action to get this rolling out, and for them to be clear in their policies on how this needs to be done.
We also have with us Dr. Bhargav, Director, Fortis Hospital, Gurugram. Dr. Bhargav, you see, we often hear about this golden hour after an accident, golden hour even after, heart arrest and cardiac issues. But from a medical standpoint, let's tell the viewers how critical these first 60 minutes really are, and from your own personal experience from the emergency ward. I know that in the night times when accidents happen, it's not a very pleasant sight to behold, but it is important, and needless to say, kudos to all the doctors and the medical fraternity for all the good work that they've been doing. This golden hour and its importance, Doctor.
I think the most important thing is absolutely right. We have to understand one thing: whatever can be measured can be managed. Please remember these words: whatever can be measured can be managed. So now, example of this, why golden hour is very important. Your trauma happens, you have a fracture, you can have an embolism, you have a bleed. So in that spate of time, the trauma, so tomorrow I have a trauma in the middle of the night. The first thing what will happen is people will gather. There is no comprehensive system within our own citizens to understand how to deal with trauma, because that has never been taught to us. We will pull in either way around to save the life. That means there can be undisplaced fractures which can lead to a problem. Then there's numbers, there are multiple numbers which we have to remember. Do we have one centralized number like US where they are born and they die, they remember one number? Throughout their spinal level, they're unconscious, still they can dial one number and call either the police or the ambulance. We do not have. So you have one number for fire, one number for police, one number for ambulance. How many numbers in a real sense can you remember? You please tell me. If you have got 10 different numbers, will you say dial 1 for police emergency, dial 2 for ambulance? No, it's not.
I mean, I'm just thinking out here. These days, you have Siris and Googles. Hey Google, hey Siri is the thing that actually works out here. Look, my phone even popped up right here.
Okay. Third problem is, okay, you have a GPS ambulance. You have a GPS ambulance. What about the emergency triage? Before reaching to the emergency, you have a triage system. So you see the Netherlands, Japan, Australia, United Kingdom, these people have established their trauma so well that they've been able to reduce the mortality into single digits. We still continue to hold it to 11% to 15% of mortality within that golden hour because of the trauma and the bleed. So the emergency medication starts not only when patient reaches to the hospital, it actually reaches on the pre-hospital triage. So you now have a GPS-enabled ambulance. Who is sitting in the GPS ambulance who is capable of transmitting the real-time data from the patient? So I am right now in the ambulance. My real-time data is going to the central command. Central command is saying, please give fluid, please give him oxygen so that he does not die during the triage system to the hospital. Third major problem is the closest hospital, not to the best hospital. You take it to the hospital which is not might be equipped. So every nook-in corner of this country, thanks to the venture capitalists, you have got hospitals and you have got doctors. Are they trained for trauma? So the GPS-enabled location of the best hospital, not to the nearest hospital, is the third thing which we need to understand. Please start understanding not every doctor is trained for trauma. I might be having an ophthalmic institute. I'm not trained in trauma. I'm a hematologist. I might not be trained in trauma. Emergency guys take less of trauma. And the fourth and the most important thing is that this all happens, this has to happen within a coordinated structure. There is no audit committees. Anything which you can measure, you can manage. So audit committees, central account agencies, like you have CAG, where you audit the government funding. Now, similarly, the trauma has to have a central trauma registry where you actually see the causes of the delay in a real time. And friends, you can have Zomato in 5 minutes, 10 minutes Blinkit. You have a 10 minutes Blinkit ambulance, which you can get a food. But what about the trauma? So I think we need to really overhaul the entire thing.
Absolutely, sir.
As a central place, because that is where you can save 2 million of people every day. And these are people not in 70 years of age. These are people between 18 to 40 years of age.
Yeah, the young ones out there, the future of this country. And, I must appreciate here, Dr. Bhargav, that you've not left any room for me to ask you any questions because you've covered it all in your opening submission here. You've really covered everything, about what...
And just to give you glimpses, it caused this road trauma does not cause the lives. It causes 3 to 7% of the loss of the GDP because of healthcare expenses, loss of productivity, and long-term disabilities. People who have died, we have got sympathies, but people who land up with disabilities, they are forever gone. They are paraplegic. Their hands are gone. Their limbs are gone. They are disabled.
The quality of life is absolutely cut short. So an economist angle over here as well. And, you've told us essentially about the ambulance arrival, the transport, the readiness of the hospital, and not all the times. I mean, you're supposed to take them to a better hospital. That's why an overhaul of the trauma system needs to be put into place. You see,
and
Mr.
the pre-hospital triage, the most important thing, the Western world actually saved the lives while they were putting into the ambulance and not in the hospital. Hospital, their reaches, they get their blood, they get their operations. It is the pre-hospital triage which saves the life of any person. The ambulance with a real tracking, real time producing the data to the central command and acknowledging those and communicating both ways to the technology can save lives.
All right, then. I think we're going to leave it at that point. Mr. Singh and Dr. Bhargav, many thanks for taking out the time and helping us understand. And, let's see, let's hope that better sense prevails. And this timeline that has been given by the Supreme Court, Mr. Singh, maybe 2 months down the line, we again have a conversation if this approach is lackadaisical. We're doing our little bit because this is actually a crisis in our country. And if we can end up saving millions of lives, that struggle for actual good trauma care each night. It's going to be a real game changer. And those economics numbers that, Dr. Bhargav just gave us as well. Are you really a doctor? I think you partake as an economist as well. Many thanks, Dr. Bhargav. Many thanks, Mr. Singh, for taking out the time and speaking to us here on News 9. All right, then, we're shifting our focus here because this is another big story that we're tracking. This is equally in your interest because it's something that the entire nation just can't stop talking about. One of the biggest talking points ahead of India's first T20